week. Don't forget Niners Nightly, which will be nightly starting September 2nd. That's kind of awesome. Niners less than 3 weeks away from the season opener against New York Jets, and Niners Nightly will be hosted by the next voice you hear on the UMA guest line, Larry Krueger. Krug, welcome back, buddy. Week 2, you made it.
Yeah, what's up, Larry?
It's going to be nightly? Oh, no.
You better bone up, brother. You better bone up.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh,
How you guys doing? Good morning.
We're doing
beautiful
good,
morning.
man. We're doing good. We were talking, I know you can talk it all. So Snell or Chapman, either, neither, or both for next year?
You got to have Snell the way he looks. My God, he's the best. Looks like the best pitcher in baseball right now. I mean, you know, his breaking stuff is just ridiculous. So, I mean, you have Casey Schmidt. He's not Chapman, but at least he's something. Yeah, I think I would probably go with the pitcher.
Okay, there it is. But and what are we doing? 180?
I think probably north of that.
Okay.
I think it's probably going to go a little north of that.
All right. All right. Well, meanwhile, speaking of contract terms, I mean, we talked to you last week, and still not in the club, Larry. For some reason, August 20th is hitting me different. Like it's August 20th. Like it's like urgency is like now. It's like now we're less than 3 weeks away. Brandon Aiyuk's not in camp. You suggested last week you thought a trade might be in the cards. Have you changed your tune in a week? Him being at Levi's on Sunday, watching the game in the suite with his teammates. The report that the Steelers offered him not that much money. What's your take right now?
It's a bizarre negotiation because it sounds like the 49ers have the high bid and he's holding in and his teammates say he's going to be here, but yet there's no official deal and we can't push this thing across the finish line. So I'm not sure what's holding it up, if it's stipulations. I do believe he wants to be a Niner. You know, I do believe that. And I think that the longer this goes, the more it's likely that he's a 49er. And then the latest report was that the Steelers' offer included no players. So, I mean, think about that for a second, guys. A deal involving trading an all-pro wide receiver away at this time of the year for picks that you're not going to realize until April of 2025, that's not going to be real popular in the locker room, you know, and obviously not amongst the fans either. So I think Lynch realizes this, and if it was my guess, I'd guess he'd stay.
Yeah, Larry, and it was also reported that the latest offer from the Pittsburgh Steelers was right around $28 million, or maybe even less than that. So my question would be do we think we have a set market price on Brandon Aiyuk with the reported 26 that the Niners offered, the 28 that the Steelers offered, or do you think there's a possibility that he's still waiting for CeeDee Lamb to get paid by the Cowboys to maybe up that offer?
That's a good point. I hadn't even thought of that. You know, the market has reset itself twice, as you know, already in this offseason. You know, his demands may set it a third time, but is he going to get his demands? And how long is Aiyuk going to wait? And why would he tie himself to that? I don't know. I mean, yeah, he could potentially be waiting for more. He may just want to wait to the right time to sign as far as in relation to the season. The Niners seem relatively confident with Trent Williams that they're going to have him, despite the fact there's been, you know, he's holding out. They seem less confident with Aiyuk, despite the fact he's holding in, which is interesting. I've asked a few times, is it personal? Lynch has maintained, of course, that it is not, but it just seems like this should have gotten done. When you think of the margin, the net difference between the offers and the amount of time this has taken, it's shocking that it's really taken this long.
Yeah, agreed. We asked him last Friday. He said, I wish I knew. I mean, it's just strange. It seems like that at this point in time it would be on the Aiyuk camp, but who knows the true story behind closed doors. Talking to Larry Krueger, back in the KNBR family, and the show will be Niners Nightly, starting on September 2nd, which is Labor Day Monday. Krueger, the kind of guy who works hard on a holiday. Labor Day Monday, it'll be 6 to 7 on weeknights every night. All right, Larry, Sunday. What did you take from Sunday? Brock Purdy running for his life, making some bad decisions, playing with no starters. It just felt odd out there. It almost felt like he didn't really get anything out of it. What was your takeaway with Purdy's evening at Levi's on Sunday?
Yeah, break a sweat, learn to get away from some D linemen, you know, play live, a couple live. I mean, yeah, he didn't have any of his weapons and he was down a couple linemen, but people who acted like, you know, Kyle Shanahan, you know, somehow committed some kind of, you know, malpractice by putting him out there, I think is going a little far. I mean, it's the preseason. It's preseason game number 2. That's typically when you play your regulars, maybe a half. They did. Purdy played 3 series. It was 50-50 run pass. He took a couple of hits. I didn't think either of them were particularly that hard. But a lot of people were like, why did he put him out? Why is Purdy playing? But Purdy wanted to play, and you got to play. You got to play football to get good at football.
Yeah, Purdy wanted to be out there. Josh Dobbs also looked like he wanted to be out there and looks like he wants to take over that QB2 job. Larry, it's been interesting watching the back and forth, the swing between him and Brandon Allen, and then what we saw this entire weekend with the 49ers quarterback situation. Did Josh Dobbs lock up that QB2 spot, or is that competition still open?
No, I think it's wide open. I mean, Allen, I think, has had the better camp throwing the ball, but Dobbs in the 2 games has been spectacular as far as, the first game he went John Elway helicopter, all in, diving at the end zone. I mean, that was an incredible play. Dobbs is right there. I think it's going to be, really close competition. It's going to go down to this 3rd game. I think the big question at the quarterback spot, guys, is the 3rd quarterback going to be on the 53, or are they going to try to have 2 on the 53 and make the 3rd guy just be on the practice squad? And then the question is, would Allen or Dobbs get through waivers to get to the practice squad? So that's kind of what they're weighing.
All right, Larry Krueger, the voice you hear on the UMA guest line. You're listening to KNBR AM and KNBR FM, San Francisco, the sports leader, a Cumulus media station. Other storylines to emerge. I mean, it's kind of not sexy at all to talk about a right guard, but Dominic Pooney seems to be like the star of the summer. I mean, the film looked great. People on Twitter putting it out there, and the All-22, he looks great, right? I mean, like Niners, I guess I would spring from that, Larry, to the draft in general. Seems to be checking in fairly nicely so far.
Yeah, I mean, you never know with these things because it's, we thought good things early about the draft from, the Purdy draft, and really Purdy's the only really shining star from that draft. So you got to give it time, but good and bad. But you're right. Pooney looks good. I mean, he looks like John Lynch said it, I think, to you guys, that he looks like a plug-and-play guy, meaning that they can just take him as a rookie and put him right into the starting lineup and not think twice, Like, very few guys who can do that. Bryant Young, William Floyd, there's a few, but not that many have succeeded. And Pooney looks like that kind of player. And when we talk to him, he's super aggressive, smart, loves to finish, really, really good prospect. So, yeah, he's exciting. He really is, because he looks like a veteran out there, and he plays with the awareness of a veteran.
Another rookie that stood out this weekend was Jacob Cowan, the 4th-round wide receiver that the 49ers drafted this season. Now, Larry, if we're assuming that Brandon Aiyuk is going to be on the 49ers, you look at that wide receiver room with B.A., Debo, Juwan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall. That leaves 2 more spots open, and there's a lot of competition right now for Jacob Cowan or Tay Martin or any of these guys on the list. So how do you think those final roster spots are going to play out in the wide receiver room?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, how many do they keep? And then Cowing's on. I mean, I know a lot of people speculated that he wouldn't be on, but, this guy was taken in the 4th round. He's got 4.3 speed. They love him. He was incredibly productive in 2 different stops in college. He's going to make the roster. So you've got those 5 spots with him and Pearsall and your big 3. So it comes down to 1 spot, and I think it comes down to Conley, who's really good as a special teamer and gives you some receiving ability, or Trent Taylor, who is, a very sure-handed return guy, not very dynamic, but very sure-handed. So do you go for the safety of Trent Taylor, or do you go for the potential upside and special teams versatility of Conley? I'd probably lean with Conley and see if I could sign Trent Taylor in a week when a roster spot clears up.
I'm firmly in the Conley camp. I love him. I like what he does. I like everything about him. He showed in January and February when they needed him. Everything about him. So, plus. I'm keeping him. A few more minutes here with Larry Krueger, who's back in the KNBR family. He'll be hosting Niners Nightly starting on Monday, September 2nd, every night, 6 to 7 on weeknights, talking 49er football. We haven't talked about the defensive side of the ball, and we talked about a little bit about the draft. Renardo Green, Malik Mustafa are showing your sense of what they can contribute. And obviously with Ambry Thomas going down, Isaac Yiadom with a sprained ankle. Am I saying his last name correctly? I hope so.
I think it's Yiadom.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Just the how these rookies fit in. Because last year they drafted Jair Brown. everybody's high, but he didn't really play much at all. Hufanga remains a question mark. So you're feeling kind of on the DB situation as it pertains to the rookies.
Well, I mean, this is one of the best young secondaries in pro football. I mean, it's simple as that. I mean, at safety, you got Hufanga, Mustafa, and Jair Brown. I mean, all those guys are in their, mid-20s or younger. Mustafa's 22. And at corner, you got 3 veterans in Mooney Ward, Yadam, and Rock Yassin, all playing really well. But it's the 5 draft picks, Luter, Womack, Lenore, Green, and Ambry. All those guys can play. I know Ambry's had some ups and downs, but, Ambry's got a lot of talent. And Renardo Green's been fantastic. What they lost when they lost Jimmy Ward and Emmanuel Mosley, guys, was like 2 not just good football players, but like true alphas, guys that are like leaders in the room, big hitters, real physical, and they got that back, I think, with Green and Mustafa. I mean, these guys are true leader types, even though they're rookies.
Few more minutes here with Larry Krueger on the Uma guest line. And Larry, we talked about it earlier in this conversation, Kyle Shanahan's decision to go with Clay Kubiak calling plays on offense, but I don't think there's enough attention on Nick Sorensen calling plays at the NFL level on defense. So what has stood out for you the first 2 games of the preseason on the way that Nick Sorensen is running the defense?
Well, I mean, he's intentionally not doing anything that he's probably going to do in week 1. So I don't know that you can get a lot of as far as tendency and what he's going to look like. But what's standing out, guys, is that the Niners at that second level have some really good young linebackers. I mean, Curtis Robinson, who played at Stanford, was a great athlete, real smart, but he's come together. I mean, he has put it together. He is easily the most improved player on the roster. Jalen Graham was fantastic in this game. I mean, he was everywhere. Jalen Graham's a terrific young prospect. And then Tatum Bethune led them in tackles in the first game, and then he had 10 tackles in this last game. He led them in tackles again. And the guy doesn't run that fast. He's not that big. He's not that strong, but he just is always around the football. So to me, it's those 3 guys have really stood out, and I think you're going to see Sorensen utilize the depth at linebacker a lot this year.
Before I let you go, Marcus mentioned it. What do you make of the Clay Kubiak calling play? It was just a little odd to me. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, there's a couple theories here. Now, I mean, one is that Shanahan's just trying to do right by a guy that he thinks has the ability to do it, and he's helping out his staff and promoting his guys. I mean, the 49ers guys have been hired away at a really high clip, and it's a great launching spot for your career. Maybe he's doing, just to help his career. That's one thought. The other thought is, you get your tendencies as a play caller, and the best way to throw people off your scent is just have somebody else do it. Then you don't have to worry about, trying to figure out how to throw people off your scent, with what your tendencies are. Shanahan at this point may feel he has concrete tendencies and wants to, start this year and have people taken by surprise. And he feels like maybe that having him call the plays, or having his assistant call the plays in the preseason maybe changes it up. I mean, that's one theory. So I'm not really, the answer is I really don't know. Yeah, but I think it's probably the first. I think he's probably just helping out a guy that he thinks has talent and, easing his workload. I mean, Kyle Shanahan wears probably more hats than most coaches in football. He's the final say on personnel. He's involved in every aspect of the organization on the football side. So it's a big job. So he just wants to divert some of the workload off on his assistant coach.
Yeah, it's just an unusual development. We'll continue to follow it Friday in Las Vegas. All right, Krug, always great chopping it up with the Niners. We're doing a Niners Nightly starting Monday, September 2nd. Look forward to our next hit, and enjoy the rest of the week, man.
Yeah, thanks, Larry.
Fellas, have a great morning.
There he is, Larry Krueger on the UMA guest line. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I don't know. Maybe it's not a big deal. I told you, I'm open to